Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Office Bloke Aidan.
Before we start, if sports is your thing and you're not subscribed, give that button a hit for us if you don't mind. You know, it makes sense. Otherwise, Big Aidan here is going to come and find you and help you out a little bit, right? Pressing that button.
Yeah, I'll make sure of it, mate.
Bit of athletes who got caught cheating. Don't like cheats. Not in sport.
No.
Don't belong. Does it?
No.
Win fair and square if you're going to win.
Yeah.
I get these corner cutting and these system rules that you can bypass certain rules by knowing certain rules. That's not cheating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the Houston Astros, that weren't cheating.
Eh? Debatable. A lot of teams do very similar things to bypass the rules.
Yeah.
Let's say, but outright cheating is just bad.
Yeah, what do you reckon the most common sport to cheating is?
Athletics.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah.
How do you cheat in running?
Well, steroids and performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
People like Ben Johnson. You won't remember Ben Johnson, but back in the 80s, 100 metre sprinter Ben Johnson, how he was. He didn't spot him when he was on the starting line. His eyes were like wide, proper crazed eyes, and you're thinking, "Whoa, that ain't right." Running like a 9.82 when no one else was there. Everyone was like 10 seconds.
Yeah, literally.
And he's like 9.82. But
get into it.
Yeah, get into it. Give it a go.
Ever since the ancient Greeks started the Olympics, human nature always found a way to cheat in sports. When large amounts of money got in the picture in the 20th century, the temptation was too big, and sports cheating became a daily operation around the world. Here are the 10 athletes who thought they would get away with fraud, but got caught and humiliated instead. Michael Pineda, Pine Tar. Michael Pineda is a Dominican pitcher that plays for the Minnesota Twins in the MLB. When he was a member of the New York Yankees in 2014, he did something very similar to what Dwight Howard was doing in the NBA. And just like Dwight, it wasn't a problem that he did it, but how obvious he'd been about it. Pineda used pine tar during his time on the mound, which was illegal, but it wasn't severely penalized.
What is that?
Is it something that you'd... I don't know what pine tar is, but I'm guessing it's something you would use to tamper with the ball.
Like make it slippery?
Something either like... Do you remember... I don't know if you remember in cricket, there was a situation where some people have like dirt in the pocket.
Yeah.
And what they do, they rub it on the ball. They take the dirt out of the pocket when no one's watching. Forgetting that there's cameras everywhere now in sport. And then rub it on the ball. And then there was one more recent, which was two Australian players, which was Steve Smith and bloody Warner, David Warner. And Steve Smith started crying on the TV when he got caught. And then when England played, now he served the ban, and now he's back in the Australia team.
Yeah.
And when England play Australia, we all sing, "He's gonna cry in a minute."
Classic on that.
Yeah.
By applying pine tar, the baseball would have a better grip and not lose any of its speed.
there you go.
And many
So the
pitchers
opposite
throughout
of
the
making it
league
slippery.
used pine tar. But during a game against
I
the
was going
Red
to say, as
Sox,
a pitcher, why would you want to make it slippery? Otherwise,
you want it to
sliding off the bat,
yeah.
or because the
Yeah.
catch is not going to, it's going to make it harder for your fielders.
in 2014, when it was especially cold and windy on the Fenway Park, Pineda decided he would need a lot of pine to be able to throw properly. So he applied a lot of it on his neck,
Oh my God.
and from there to the baseball.
Yeah, imagine
It was clear
anything
as
called
day what
tar
he was doing.
would be
The
sticky.
officials immediately threw him out. Pineda got a 10-game suspension for doing something everybody else did too, but they were a little bit smarter in not making it blatantly obvious. Sammy Sosa, corked bat.
Corked bat,
In
yeah,
baseball,
remember
a
this.
corked bat is a specially modified baseball bat that has been filled with cork or other less dense substances to make the bat lighter. A lighter bat gives a hitter a quicker swing and may improve the hitter's timing. In 2003, the famed right fielder Sammy Sosa played a game for his Chicago Cubs against Tampa Bay, and he shattered his bat in the first inning. No harm done. It happens all the time. A player just gets another bat and the game resumes. However, the plate umpire noticed pieces of cork among the shards of the shattered bat, and he rightfully ejected Sosa from the game. Sosa acknowledged ownership of the bat, explaining that he occasionally used it for batting practice and for home run exhibitions to entertain his fans. Major League Baseball then confiscated and tested 76 of Sosa's other bats after his ejection, and all were found to be clean with no cork. However, the crime had been committed, and Sosa still had to serve a 7-game suspension. Antonio Margarito loaded
Maybe baseball is the sport where you cheat the most.
But he also got Sosa had the record for the most home runs. When I used to watch baseball years ago.
So was it all a bit sus after that?
Well, when I used to watch baseball, you had Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, and Sammy Sosa, all sort of like vying for the home runs records and all this kind of stuff. Barry Bonds did it. Mark McGuire was jacked up. I don't know if he was taking steroids or not. He looked like he was, but I don't know what the rule. I don't know what the outcome was of it all. I never really paid attention. But he was jacked, man, with like big veins in his neck and massive arms and all that.
Wasn't it, really?
Yeah, and I think that, and Sammy Sosa had that issue, but I think Barry Bonds was pretty clean. I'm not sure. People have to let me know. It's a long time ago from my memory to go back. But Barry Bonds held a record for the most home runs in the season.
I remember this one as well. This is proper dirty. This.
Gloves. For some boxers who hit really hard, they say that they have dynamite in their hands. In the case of Mexican boxer Antonio Margarito, well, he had plaster on his hands. Before Margarito was supposed to fight Shane Mosley for the WBA welterweight title in 2009, Mosley's trainer noticed that Margarito's hands were wrapped strangely and asked for the wrap tape to be examined. The coach had a great eye and was right to be suspicious. When Margarito's hand wraps were cut off, the match officials found small knuckle pads made of plaster, which is used to make casts. The purpose of the plaster was to add more damage to Margarito's opponent. The Mexican boxer said he was unaware of the pads, and his coach took all the blame to himself. Margarito was forced to rewrap his hands and would go on to lose the fight and the title to Mosley. After the match, he and his coach were suspended from boxing in the United States for 1 year. Rosie Ruiz.
Just imagine if no one noticed though, and like the other guy's face got proper busted up.
But you're supposed to when boxing when raps are going on.
One of the person
from the other camp's supposed to watch the rap, sort of thing. It's boxing's another sport, man.
Yeah, it always can be.
Not
even with just the fighters, more with like the judges and stuff.
Everything about boxing just.
The most sus about boxing is like you get 3 professional judges. Every fight,
very different.
Every fight, there's none of them agree.
Yeah, you'll get like 95, 93, 95, 93, 107, 90.
Yeah,
you're like, hey, how can you be? What's he watching that he's so far out?
I know.
King victory. Chris Rock once joked about the marathon being too long, saying that 28 miles is a long drive, let alone having to run the whole thing. Rosie Ruiz thought so too, but unlike Chris Rock, she wanted to win the 1980 Boston Marathon. So what do you do if you want to win the longest racing event, but don't actually want to run 28 miles and do it faster than everyone else? Well, you just start running close to the finish line and hope nobody notices. Rosie finished the 1980 Boston Marathon with the official time of 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 56 seconds, which was the 3rd fastest time ever run by a woman. Even though the victory time of an unknown runner raised some suspicions, she was awarded the gold medal and got celebrated like a true champion. After a few days, several spectators came out and said that they saw Ruiz join the race about half a mile from the finish line. Because she was never seen by the other riders.
Are we just going to ignore Jeffrey Dahmer walking behind?
I didn't see.
Ruiz joined the race about half a mile from the finish line because she was never
literally, I would have joined with half a mile to go and still not even won.
Yeah, still not won, same. A heart attack.
And didn't appear in any photographs or footage of the race. It became apparent that she cheated. They stripped the title away from Ruiz, but she didn't receive any further penalties. Diego Maradona, Hand of God. 2 of the most famous goals Maradona ever scored happened in the same game, during the 1986 World Cup quarterfinals against England. The second one was an absolute stunner, when Diego took the ball in his own half and dribbled past every defender and the goalkeeper. It was a genius goal from the best player in the world. The first goal he scored in that game was also genius, but in an entirely different way. As the deflected ball was traveling through the air and into the hands of England's goalkeeper, the 5'5" Maradona.
How will they say that? They're wearing different kits.
Yeah, it was the difference. But his first goal in his game was, you can't take it away from him. It was absolutely stunning goal. Yeah. And for me, he's one of the best players that's ever lived.
Yeah, right?
He's apart from his troubles that he's had with cocaine and all that kind of stuff. But the best thing he ever saw about this was Peter Shilton, who was the goalkeeper for England at the time. Right, there was a photograph with him and his wife. And his wife's a lot younger than Peter Shilton. She's quite pretty, sort of thing. And someone in the, you'd always get the comments underneath, and someone's put, "If only you could punch this high against Maradona in the '86 World Cup."
That's brilliant.
Got it first and sent it to the back of the net. While the English players protested, ref didn't see that Maradona had flicked the ball with his hand, which ultimately helped Argentina win the game and proceed to the semifinals. During the post-game interview, Diego cheekily said that if it really was a handball, that it was a hand of God. Lance Armstrong. Steroids. Pane e acqua is Italian for bread and water, and in cycling, it's used to describe riders who are cycling clean and not using PEDs. Lance Armstrong was cycling on Pane e acqua for the first part of the 90s, and he was a talented rider without a doubt, but he wasn't achieving extraordinary results. After he successfully won his battle with testicular cancer, Lance returned to cycling in 1998, but he didn't use bread and water for fuel anymore. He had something much more potent. Lance started using erythropoietin, or EPO in short. EPO stimulates the production of red blood cells and enables athletes who inject it to have more oxygen in their blood. More oxygen increases endurance, which is crucial for a sport like cycling. Lance would go on to win 7 Tour de France's in a row, which is the hardest and most prestigious multiple-stage bicycle race in the world. Even though the insiders knew he was cheating, Lance never failed a drug test, which he gladly repeated at almost every interview. He had the best doctors, who instructed him how far from a race he can use PEDs, mask positive results, avoid being detected, or avoid being tested in the first place. However, in 2013, after a massive investigation from USADA and testimony of many witnesses, including his former teammates, Armstrong was finally forced to admit he was doping throughout his career. Dwight Howard. Stick 'em. Dwight Howard is now a role player whose NBA job is primarily to play defense and get rebound. But some 5 to 10 years ago, he had a more prominent role and higher usage rate. Even though he was never a good post player, Howard would still demand the ball down low. And to make it easier for himself to catch entry and lob passes, Dwight used Stick 'em. Stick 'em is an adhesive spray that enhances grip.
What for?
When I used to play in the when I played American football when I lived in America, I was the kicker.
Are they allowed to use Stick 'em though?
I don't know.
Like wide receivers would use sticky stuff.
Well, at the time, it was like I was playing like Sunday League. I wasn't playing NFL, but I was the kicker. But because I was the fastest on the team, they wanted me to be a receiver. So they were trying to make me into a receiver. So I went out to the shop and I bought some gloves and all this kind of stuff, and I had to play the part. And then someone said, "Get some Stick 'em," and I'm like, "What's that?" And someone brought it out of the bag, sprayed it on my hands, and when they threw the ball, it kind of like stuck in my hand.
Yeah,
it was like poof, like Velcro. It really helped. Cool, yeah.
Which is pretty useful if you're trying to catch balls, and it's illegal in both the NBA and the NFL.
Guess not.
Dwight has been using it for years.
I thought
in the game between his Rockets and the Hawks in 2016, he must have applied too much, and the other players noticed something was weird with the ball.
Not leaving his arm when he throws it.
Intervened, paused the game, and came over to Houston's bench, where one Stick 'em can was visible, treacherously revealing why the ball was so sticky all of a sudden.
What do you mean the Stick 'em can was visible? How stupid can you be just leave it on the side?
To stop using the spray.
Funny though is when when they got to test it and he goes,
the team nor Howard was penalized for the use of it.
What?
Tanya Harding. Hitman.
This was bad.
Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan.
Oh, wait.
Two of the...
Yeah. She got
the fact that it said Hitman.
Yeah, she got like Tanya Harding and
Did you get like someone to like hit the legs?
Yeah.
Beat up the legs?
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad this.
Best American figure skaters in the late 80s and early 90s. One day before the U.S. National Championship, which also served as the qualifiers for the 1994 Olympics, Nancy Kerrigan was brutally attacked after practice in Detroit. A man jumped at Kerrigan as she was heading to the locker room and beat her up with a club, attempting to break her legs. Thankfully, she only suffered deep bruises and escaped with no broken bones. But still, she was unable to participate in the U.S. Nationals, where Harding took the first place and a guaranteed spot in the Olympics. After an FBI investigation into Harding's bodyguard
crazy.
Sean Eckhart and ex-husband Jeff Gillooly, Eckhart buckled, admitted his involvement in the incident and organization of the attack with the attacker Shane Stant. Harding denied her involvement at first, even though her ex-husband pleaded guilty and testified against her just a few weeks before the Olympics. Despite the scandal, there was not sufficient evidence of Harding's involvement, and she was allowed to compete in the Olympics, together with Kerrigan, who was also granted a spot. In the most anticipated skating event ever in the United States, Kerrigan took home the silver medal, while Harding finished 8th due to skate malfunction. Upon her return, the case continued, and with testimonies mounting against her, Harding officially pleaded guilty. She received 3 years probation, a $160,000 fine, and got banned from skating forever. Mike Tyson. Ear biting.
That's proper bad, that, isn't it?
It is. It's. I remember the story real well because that was like when I was only a teenager.
Surely that's prison time though.
I think she should have gone to prison. Yeah, and it's and you know the guy looked like Jeff Foxworthy, the husband, and all. He testified against her. Yeah,
they didn't look all right then.
Yeah.
No,
they didn't.
His first and most famous loss came against Buster Douglas in 1991. That happened because Mike was barely practicing for the fight. But when Tyson first fought Holyfield in 1996, Evander showed the world that Tyson could be beaten and pretty much dominated throughout the fight. Tyson immediately asked for a rematch, and he got it simply because he was the biggest star in boxing at the time. When the rematch started, Mike simply didn't have it in him, and he knew it. He didn't want to be in that ring on that night, and everything he threw, Holyfield had an answer for. Tyson couldn't exert dominance over his opponent. Plus, he only had the stamina for about half the fight. Knowing that he would lose in the later rounds pissed at himself and the world due to a debauched lifestyle he was leading. Mike couldn't take it anymore. He was full of hate, and he wanted to express it, but he couldn't do it with his hands like he usually did with all of his opponents. So, Tyson took a bite out of Evander's ear and bit off a piece of it. He was immediately disqualified, which was the beginning of the end of his storied career. Tom Brady, Deflategate.
Crazy, man.
In 2006, the NFL changed the rule where the home team provided all the footballs for the game and instead enabled the away team to use their own footballs on offense. In 2014, Tom Brady used this rule to his advantage in the AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts and his quarterback rival, Andrew Luck. While Luck was throwing balls that were per NFL rules inflated between 12.5 to 13.5 pounds per square inch, Tom Brady deliberately ordered for his footballs to be slightly deflated. By removing air from a football, it makes it easier to grip, throw, and catch, and thus gives an unfair advantage for the team that's using deflated balls on offense. After Brady threw an interception to Colts linebacker DeQuell Jackson, the linebacker gave it to the equipment manager to keep as a souvenir. And that's when the trouble began. The Colts equipment manager thought there was something weird with the ball and notified the league officials. After examination, it was determined that 11 of the 12 balls the Patriots were using in the game were deflated and averaging around 1.5 pounds of pressure less than the minimum amount. The balls got reinflated at halftime, and the Patriots turned their 10-point halftime lead into a 45-7 victory and advanced to the Super Bowl.
What?
Although the game was a blowout, even with all the balls equally inflated, Deflategate became a national scandal, and Brady got suspended for 4 games, while the Patriots were fined with millions of dollars and forfeited 2 future draft picks.
Wow.
They didn't even do any better without with the deflated balls.
Yeah. But it's cheating never cheats never prosper, did they?
Gee, I told you the Astros wouldn't come up on there.
How old's that video?
They didn't cheat, mate.
How old's that video? Is that
Like
the one where you picked the one that was 4 years old?
Yeah, no.
No, but cheating's no good in sport at all.
No.
Yeah. I think the worst one out of all them was Tonya Harding.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, and Lance Armstrong's a close...
Yeah, no, that's like she's literally gone out and got someone to batter her opponent, so she wins.
Yeah, but when you say before what's the biggest sport you can cheat in, I think it is cycling.
Cycling.
There's always something in cycling, always. You read about it all the time. This
yeah.
guy's been doping, this guy's been doping. Same as athletics. There's always somebody in athletics.
Yeah.
It was the Russians for years, remember?
Yeah, they got kicked out of the Olympics.
One after the other. It's just there's always suspicion about everything that goes on with that. But yeah, don't cheat. Don't cheat, kids.
Come on now,
Win
guys.
it fair and square. Exactly. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.